Hello and welcome to American Friction, the US politics podcast that turns 1 year old today. Happy birthday to us and happy birthday to me, Jacob Jarvis.
And happy birthday to me as well, the boy in the shorts and the hoodie, Chris Jones.
And happy birthday, of course, to the birthday girl herself. It's Nikki McCann Ramirez. Oh, Nikki, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nikki.
It's literally not my birthday.
Yeah, it is.
It is 1 year old.
1 year old. I am 1 year old today.
1 year old today. She didn't exist before this podcast.
No,
Nikki,
exactly.
So it's good. Anyway, on this show, we're going to be looking at kind of a birthday. It's 100 days of the Trump presidency. It's felt like it's a lot longer, though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Plus, we're going to round up some other stories you might have missed and answer your listener questions. But before that, Chris, it is that time of the week.
It's the time of
Give
the
us
week.
a silly question then.
Well, there's nothing birthday about this, really, unless you'd like me to ask you a birthday question.
Well, don't worry about it.
Okay,
When
well,
is your birthday?
when's my birthday? You'll never know.
You'll never know.
But the question that I've prepared this week is the silly question section. Well, we'll get onto this a bit later as well. Is when a new president is elected, they can choose to decorate and decorate their Oval Office, do whatever they want, spruce it up a little.
Yeah.
So my question is to you: if you were elected president, you can't be. Nikki can be.
I could be.
You can't be.
I could.
No, but if you were, just say you could be.
Okay.
How'd you decorate it? I guess Dracula portraits for you.
Not Dracula portraits, but I like
okay.
the idea of some sort of Dracula theme, potentially, some sort of vampiric castle sort of thing. I don't know, maybe, but I think I would go really, really extreme on the golden stuff. Like, you think that Trump's gone blingy? No, because how often do you have the opportunity to decorate a house with an unlimited budget and knowing that you don't have to live with the consequences forever?
How do we know he's got an unlimited budget?
Well, near enough. Unlimited compared to any budget I've ever had to decorate a house.
Yeah, okay, fair.
And I just don't have to think, oh, well, what about if I have to sell this? Or am I going to like this in too many years' time? I can just be like, I'm going to be here for 8 years max. Fuck it. Everything's gold. But maybe beanbags. Really comfier chairs.
Beanbags?
Yeah, comfier chairs than they have.
You're going to Gen Z it
I
up.
would go for. So, yeah, that's my non-serious answer.
So-
serious, I'd buy some really cool art.
So beanbags and vampires.
Beanbags and Vampires, yeah, that's the name of my my rap group.
Let's fucking go.
Good. That's really good. Nikki, what about you? What'd you do to the Oval Office?
I would get the ghost of Frank Lloyd Wright to redesign it. Maybe replace all the couches with like a nice conversation pit. Hold my cabinet meetings in the conversation pit.
Are we all pretending we know who that is? Am I the
No,
only one who
exactly.
doesn't know? Who
You
did you say?
uncultured swine. You Frank Lloyd Wright.
I know who he is.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
I
Okay,
don't
Simon
know.
is the only man of culture on this podcast.
He's one of the most famous architects of all time. What?
In
Oh,
mid-century.
sorry, I don't know an architect. There's no James Hoban, that's for sure. Do you know who that is, Nikki?
I believe so.
Go on. Who? Who's James Hoban? Tell me. Go on.
I don't.
Who's
He only designed the White House. Idiot.
Did he? It's not that interesting of a design.
Do you know who Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen is, Nikki?
That name, yes.
He's a really flamboyant British designer, so
Good for him.
Get him in.
Nick, no, I'm stopping this
You know
conversation.
who that is.
I don't know architects.
Okay, he's not an architect, Lawrence Llewellyn.
Apart from the guy in How I Met Your Mother, Ted, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay, nice. Well, Chris, how do you want to decorate then?
Oh, we didn't finish with Nikki.
Oh,
She said she got as far as a sofa.
Okay, sorry. Nikki?
Yeah, no, I think like a nice little conversation pit. You hold your cabinet meetings in the conversation pit. Definitely no gold. I've never been a gold person. Like, I'm not trying to have my office look like a dictator's palace, but I can appreciate that aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really use a desk. I think the only time I sit at a desk in any given week is when I record this podcast. So I would probably just have like my bed and a bunch of blankets replace the desk. Or just a very comfy couch, because that's where I work from.
So what we're essentially saying here is you're turning the Oval Office into your bedroom.
Essentially, yes.
You could
Right.
get Tracy Emin to design it and
Who's
spend lots of money
that?
that way. My
Tracy
bed.
Emin.
The artist who did my bed.
Your bed.
No, it's a piece of
Why
art.
did an
bed.
architect design your bed, Jarv?
She's not an architect. She's an
No,
artist.
she's an artist.
And she
Oh,
did a
I don't
piece
know
of
what
art
we're even
called-
talking about anymore.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Chris. I'm hoping you're not putting any art in your White House.
No.
'Cause I don't think you're going to pick much. What are you going to do for it though?
Full black walls.
Just what?
That's it.
Turn it into a cave.
I'm going to turn it into Rock City in Nottingham.
Or what? Because you want the White House to be like an ironic name, like Little John.
No.
And you're going to paint it
It's-
black and
it's
be like, it's the White House.
Yeah, it's ironic because it's white on the outside but fully black inside.
Okay. And what? So all the furnishings would be.
Oh,
as
it's all
well?
black, yeah.
Cool. Well, listeners, let us know which design inspiration. Which one of us would you like to design your home at any
It's
given
obviously
point
me.
if you need someone to do it? And yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, on that.
Welcome back to American Friction. Happy birthday to us! Oh my god.
Listeners, these assholes didn't tell me we were wearing party hats.
Well, I don't remember that. I'm pretty sure we told you.
No, oh no, Nikki's saying something we don't like.
I'll put mine down.
Okay then, everyone, it's literally our birthday, and we only want one thing this year, and that is a present from you guys, and that is for you to support us on Patreon.
For £3 a month, you'll get the show ad-free, and other tiers will get you access to bonus content and merch, the perfect present for any birthday. And if you sign up for £5 a month or more, which arguably is a better present for a birthday, we have a Patreon chat community where you can ask questions to us and each other directly so that we can talk through the madness going on in US politics together and wish each other a happy birthday, which is nice, isn't it?
So what are you waiting for? Because it's our birthday. And
our
we're
birthday.
asking for it. It's our birthday.
It's our birthday.
So it's our birthday.
our
Follow the
birthday.
link in the show notes or go to patreon.com/American Friction to sign up. And as well, I'm going to guilt trip on this now.
Are you?
What if we don't live to see another birthday if you don't support us on Patreon?
Where are we going?
I don't know. We just
What
need
if
support on
we
Patreon,
don't
don't
live?
we? Oh,
Do you mean us personally or the podcast?
The podcast, but us as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
as well.
Oh, well, it's always a worry, isn't it? My word, that got morbid quick.
Go to patreon.com/American
Yeah.
Friction to sign up. Anyway,
Before
right.
it's too late, apparently.
Nikki,
Yes.
how are you feeling 100 days into the new Trump term? You know, is it kind of as delusional as you expected or more delusional? Yeah, how are you?
How am I? How am I? I am so goddamn tired. I am so fucking tired. When does this, can we find out how many days until this term ends?
What? Quick maths, but I'm going to say about...
No, there's websites that can do this for us.
Nah, I've got it on the top of my head. About 924. No, it's more than that, for sure. Way
3, 6, 9, 12. That's 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know
So
what I'm
where
thinking
have you got
about.
900 from? Oh, yeah. Architects, maths, though. Can't.
Yeah, because I'm an art-loving man.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's about 1,400, let's say, ish, I'm guessing.
Sounds about right. I can't do
Anyone
math.
want to tell me I'm wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. But
You're
I
wrong.
don't think you've got the mental maths too, so
I
don't worry
don't. I
about
really
it.
don't.
Yeah.
How am I feeling? I'm really tired. I think like it's just important to acknowledge that the 100 days mark is just sort of like a traditional milestone. There's no real commemorative marker here other than all the media retrospectives. It's traditionally, it's about 3 months into a presidency. It's kind of when the new penny shine of the new presidency has worn off and people start forgetting a little bit about the news cycle, moving on to other things. The new penny shine has not worn off. If anything, we are all being crushed under a giant mountain of pennies.
Shiny pennies, though.
Shiny, but incidentally, I think the one thing we can all agree on is Trump got rid of the penny. No?
Did he? He got rid of the
What?
penny?
The penny?
Well, it's just gone. Like, you don't have that
I mean, yeah,
coinage
they're gonna phase out the penny because it's 1 cent and it's only worth 1 cent. And I think at this point it costs more to produce than it's actually worth.
Oh,
So he announced that they're
Gosh.
phasing out the penny. But I am being crushed by this mountain of pennies that are all so shiny and so awful. And they're just being heated by the sun and it hurts. But
My God.
I think the next 100 days, like we learned a lot in these first 100 days. They
Sure.
were bad. I think the next 100, 500,000, 1,000, whatever, until this term ends
Something
are
like
probably going to be a lot worse. I think whereas a lot of presidents come in and in this sort of milestone time period try to pass some of their like landmark legislation, it's a time when the new president or, reelected president has a lot of political capital within Congress, especially in a situation like this where Trump is coming in with control of both parties in Congress and control of the Supreme Court. You would typically see a president try and like force through the biggest pieces of legislation they want to get through in their term into law. They would be working with Congress. They would be signing bills. Trump is not doing that. Mm-hmm. Trump has been governing by fiat through executive order. And I think what these executive orders are doing are not necessarily providing the endpoint of policy proposals that Trump ran on, but laying the groundwork for a larger project that we're going to see unfold in the coming years. So yeah, it's been bad. I don't think it's going to get better. And I think they have been 100 days unlike any other we've seen in recent presidential memory.
Nikki, what are some of the things that you think have maybe been forgotten about because it's been so crazy in the past 100 days or so?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. And I think at Rolling Stone, my colleagues, Ryan and Tim, former guest on the pod, put out a really great list of 100 actions that define the first 100 days. Off the top of my head, if I think back to like the really early term, the pardoning of the January 6th defendants, I think was a real watershed moment. It kind of indicated right off the bat that this administration was going to do exactly what it accused the Biden administration of doing and be selective about the way it used the criminal justice system, the Justice Department, as a tool of political retribution. And we're seeing that unfold now in real time in the way they're targeting migrants, former whistleblowers within the administration, law firms who like either supported litigation or represented litigation against the Trump administration or have been involved in cases against him. Law firms are being punished. Basically, everyone is being punished. Media companies. Obviously, there's sort of the big ones that you can't miss, like the tariffs, like the mass deportations. I think some of the admissions he's made, like the fact that he posted a video on Truth Social saying he was purposefully crashing the stock market. Really early in the term, he said in a Truth Social post that, like, anything he did, as long as he did it to save the country, doesn't violate a law. Like, that he is incapable of violating the laws of this country so long as he thinks that what he's doing is for the good of the country. I think that it made the news cycle for a couple days, but I think it's very indicative of just the attitude he's taking toward this presidency. And so much of the first 100 days have been defined by a lot of just like really petty, humiliating, embarrassing displays that reflect poorly on this republic, on the American people. The yelling at Zelensky in the White House, the Canada's going to be the 51st state thing. Incidentally, congrats to Donald Trump on giving Canadian liberals an election victory they were definitely going to lose 2 months ago. That, I don't think that's getting talked about enough, but like, congrats to Canada. Like, thankfully you didn't end up with something like what we have right now. There's things that are going to continue unfolding. All of the Doge cuts, I just don't even think we can overstate how much was packed into the Doge cuts. The eliminating the Department of Education, cutting Ebola aid, cutting HIV prevention programs that people are already dying of because those programs no longer exist in developing countries. Everything. FEMA.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit.
I could keep going and going, but I'd love to hear if you guys have any thoughts on this.
I think the US aid cuts still, to me, feel like one which are, as you say, just so huge, so callous, and that, unfortunately, was massively in the news cycle for a very short period, and then seems to have been largely forgotten about. And I think when you do try and quantify the statistics of people who are being left to suffer, children who are suffering needlessly because of those cuts, I think they probably needed a good bit more focus and continual focus away from us just going, look at what the stupid shit he's done today is. Chris, has it lived up to your expectations the first 100 days?
Well, it was really hard to actually know what was going to come. But I don't think anyone can say that they'd be surprised by some of the things that we've seen. But I think this isn't a positive, but it's to Trump's credit that his strategy has meant that we have basically forgotten about a lot of these things because there's so much that's happened. And I think that's a reason why so much has happened is because they've wanted us to forget about some of the shit things that they've done. Like Nikki mentioned the Jan 6th releases. I'd pretty much forgotten most of that until Nikki had mentioned it then. And that is massive. That is a massive deal. Like right out of the traps, that showed us where this administration was heading politically and what kind of policies that it was going to chase after. But also, it also reinforces that this term is a bit of a revenge tour, as we were talking about in the campaign. Like this is Trump coming back and doing what he wants because he feels that he should have been in charge for the last 4 years anyway. And I think he said it in Michigan actually. He was talking about the end of the election where it looked like it the Democrats might have come back. He said that he thought the Democrats were cheating again, which I think was one of his quotes from the Michigan rally. So I don't think there's any other way really to describe it apart from being just an absolute hurricane. Like it's been so angry and fast that it's been hard for us to keep up with it all, but also equally hard to escape all of the shit at the same time.
Yeah, I think it frustrates me sometimes when people act like it's completely unpredictable, but I would agree with you that even when you knew it was coming, it still has felt like such a relentless onslaught. And just what has surprised me is just quite how the entitlement of power, like you're saying, like where it's like he thinks other people have cheated him or whatever, he's just come into it. I didn't expect him to quite act so bizarrely like he is a king. Sure. In quite the way he's gotten away with
Trump Gaza. That's an example of how weird he's been behaving.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And like we could spend hours talking about the gutting of climate regulations in the United States, pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, even like firing a ton of people at the national, basically like the weather agency here in the United States. Taking over the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, one of the largest sort of supporters of art and culture and like theater at a national level in the United States. They took over that and are trying to purge it of wokeness.
Yeah, deleting historical files related to black servicemen.
Yeah.
The word gay been deleted because of, was it the Enola Gay plane? Yeah, a lot of
all the policies
stuff.
Pushing transgender people out of the military and attempting to make it harder for women to serve in like combat roles in the military. Yep. The bungling of the response to the plane crash in DC, like on day 3 of the presidency. Gutting the like National Park Service, another insane thing that was just like completely unnecessary. There's a ton to unpack here, like reproductive rights, targeting abortion activists, everything that's being done from the Department of Transportation down to Housing and Urban Development to Veterans Affairs to don't even get started on Health and Human Services with RFK Jr. We could spend multiple episodes going through all the things that have happened in this administration. And like I said earlier, the thing that I think frightens me isn't that this is like your typical 100-day, oh, we passed this bill, oh, we did this thing. This is the foundation for a much bigger political project that we have not seen even the true beginning of the downstream effects that this is going to have.
Mm. Nikki, we've actually got a bit of breaking news coming in. Very exciting here.
Yeah. Breaking news on day 101.
Yeah, well, obviously the 100 days, one of the big things was this whole Signal chat situation. So Mike Waltz, remind listeners who he is, and he's gone. Tell us why.
Yeah, Mike Waltz is Trump's national security advisor. as listeners will recall, Mike Waltz was the guy who accidentally added Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg into the Signal chat where Pete Hegseth, shared very sensitive attack plans because, they insist they're not war plans. Because legally, we're not at war with Yemen, even though we've been running an illegal bombing campaign for more than a decade against them now. But we're technically not at war, so they're attack plans against Houthi rebels in Yemen. Several outlets reported, just as we were recording this on Thursday, that Mike Waltz and his deputy, Alex Wong, are stepping down from their positions. If listeners rewind to when this scandal was happening, we talked about this. We talked about the fact that Hegseth was getting all this backlash, but that ultimately we didn't think that Hegseth was going to be the fall guy. That if anyone was going to have their neck on the chopping block, it would have probably been Mike Waltz. Because he was the one that added Goldberg to the group chat. I think there was already a bit of internal tension about his position within the national security apparatus, the White House. And it kind of feels like after Hegseth fucked up again and it came out that he had sent those same attack plans to another Signal group chat where his wife and brother were, it's like, in the first one, they maybe had the excuse that it was like, oh, these are cabinet members. Like, they need to know about this, even if we didn't follow proper procedure, blah, 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 blah. Although they never admitted to any of that. They said this was completely above board. Hegseth's wife is a producer at Fox News, I believe.
Yeah.
Fox News or Fox Business, one of the two. And then his brother is a media, communications person at the Department of Homeland Security, which is not Hegseth's department. He's DOD. So it was kind of like, why are you sharing this with him? And he was like, oh, it was media coordination. Mm-hmm. And it kind of feels like someone needed to go because they were looking really fucking stupid. And it's Waltz.
So is Waltz basically, it does seem like he's going to be the fall guy for Hegseth, because Trump's been pretty backing of Hegseth. The other day he joked something about him being one of the least controversial members of his cabinet or something along those lines. So Trump really likes this guy, doesn't he? So there's just they've got rid of a stooge essentially here.
Yeah, I'm going to read a little bit from CBS News. One source familiar with the situation at the National Security Council said the president thinks sufficient time has passed since the Signal incident that Waltz and Wong's departures can be framed as part of a reorganization. The president has been hesitant to oust Waltz over the perception that doing so could be seen as bending to outside pressure.
Okay.
In light of that, then one could argue that they were waiting. Hegseth gets exposed again because of the second chat. And it kind of was just like, okay, we have to get rid of him and we can't wait any longer. I'm not entirely sure. I'm positive we will learn more about why this happened over the course of the coming days. But we have our first firing from the cabinet. That's kind of huge on day 101 or 102.
Oh, that's not good, is it?
Not happening, right? Let me try and get this.
One more go, cool. Yeah, nice. Happy
that's
birthday
for the firing.
to us.
Happy birthday for that firing. A birthday firing, everyone. So, Nikki, I'm going to get into talking about the polling with Chris in a second because he's got to go all over that. And he loves the polling. That's his whole thing. That's his shtick. Yeah. But I want to ask you about, can we talk about how upset Trump is about the polls? Like, he's really turning even further on the pollsters, isn't he?
Yeah, he's big mad. He's really mad.
Big mad.
Big mad.
Big mad. Over the weekend and last week, a series of polls came out. And this tends to happen around the 100-day mark. A ton of polls will come out about how has the president's favorability changed between election day and now, or inauguration day and now? And the general consensus is that between inauguration or election day and the 100-day mark, Trump's approval rating has plummeted.
Wow.
Two major polls had him in the 30s. He has the lowest 100-day approval rating in 80 years of tracking this. So Trump sees all these polls, a couple of which have him in the 30s, others that have him in the low 40s on approval rating. And he loses his fucking mind. He basically accuses pollsters of being criminals who need to be investigated, said this is all fake news. He has already sued one pollster, infamously Ann Seltzer of the Des Moines Register, who incorrectly predicted that Trump would win Iowa by like double digits. It didn't happen. But he sued her for the incorrect poll, saying it was a form of election interference. And given the threats he made this week, calling pollsters criminals who are trying to just like undermine him through polling, I guess, through public surveys, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes after other newspapers, other research firms, and tries to sue them to stop them from publishing negative polls about him, which is in no way, shape, or form an illegal thing to do. I don't know, Chris. Give us some numbers.
Yeah, Chris, talk us through the number-roos.
I don't like that. And I didn't like the noise I just made there either. That was not intentional. Well, as one Trump, I'm going to say crony, said on CNN
Acolyte.
recently, the numbers don't lie, but you can skew the polls. So work that one out. But here's some polling from the first 100 days. As Nikki said, it's pretty bad.
Slippity slidey
all the way down. Pew Research, which is one we trust, we like Pew Research. They had.
We do love Pew.
We do. They had Trump at 40% job approval, which is well below any of his predecessors.
Pew pew.
Very good. Oh, I snorted. An NPR PBS Marist poll asked around 1,400 voters how they would grade Trump's first 100 days. 45% gave him a
bad.
F.
Nice.
They gave him a bad. Only 23% gave him an A, which isn't great.
Oh, good.
No, good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. According to the same poll, many Americans, 61%, think that President Trump has been rushing to make changes without considering the impact of those actions. This is up from 56% in March. So
Speedy boy.
That's gone up. He's been too speedy.
Yeah.
Too speedy bad. You'll like this one.
Nice, please.
Fox News opinion polling has Trump's overall job performance at 44%. Oh. And those who replied to the poll disapproved of him on basically everything.
Everything.
Oh. Apart from immigration, which I think was actually a draw.
Well, I think some of the interesting things that have come out in polling regarding immigration is that you see a majority of Americans approve of the state of enforcement at the border, the fact that illegal border crossings are down. But then if you ask them if they approve of how Trump has been handling deportations, then he's underwater, like below the 50% approval mark. So what we're learning here is that Americans like border enforcement. They like the idea that undocumented people aren't coming in illegally through the southern border, but they don't like the way the Trump administration is rounding people up, sending them to foreign gulags, stripping people of their green cards with no due process, and basically black bagging people and disappearing them into foreign countries. Yeah, Americans don't like that.
They don't like that, and neither do we. Just one more bit of polling here, and it's just switch your focus slightly, because I think that's important. The Democratic Party's favorability polling is at a historic low, according to a poll from CNN and SSRS of around 1,200 people. The Democratic Party's favorability rating stands at just 29%, the poll says, a record low in CNN's polling dating back to 1992 and a drop of 20 points since January 2021. Not good.
Doesn't feel very Brat Summer to me, unfortunately.
No, not Brat Summer
Nikki,
at all.
let's talk about
more
some
like
of these
Rat Summer.
Very good, very nice. Yeah.
Nice. Let's talk about a couple of these big interviews that Trump has done. So he did one with Time, didn't he? And he did ABC. ABC seemed like the more interesting of the two. He was very touchy there, wasn't he? And literally told the interviewer to just say yes and agree with him on a point that he was quite obviously wrong on.
Yeah.
What's been going on?
So I think it was last week, we talked about, last week or the week before, this photo that the White House had been circulating about tattoos allegedly belonging to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, that according to the White House's interpretation, which is not necessarily true, represented MS-13 on his knuckles. So Terry Morin of ABC News and Trump are discussing the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Trump also said that, like, yeah, I could get him back if I wanted to, but I'm not. And believe you me, that's going to show up in every court case related to these deportations. The president essentially admitting that, like, yeah, he can get these people back. He just doesn't want to. But Trump was insisting, as the White House has been, that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. And he was saying, well, look at his knuckles. Look at the tattoos on his knuckles. That spells out MS-13. And Morin was like, oh, well, that's an interpretation of the tattoos, but we don't, like, there's no actual evidence that he's a member of MS-13. And, experts on gangs and tattoos have indicated that this is not necessarily proof that he is a member of the gang. And Trump was like, no. It says MS-13 on his knuckles. He kept insisting. And what seems to be happening here is that Trump believes that the photoshopped is, they called it Photoshop in the interview. I prefer the word edited because I think photoshopped involves like a different style of editing than just like putting text over a photo. But the edited version of the photo, in which someone, I think the White House itself, had superimposed the letters MS-13, letters and numbers, over the knuckle tattoos, was a real photo. Like, Trump legitimately thinks that Kilmar Abrego Garcia has MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles.
They were just annotations, I thought, really obviously from the photo. There's no attempt to even make them blend into his hand or look like a tattoo. It's just they're annotations of the tattoo. Really
and Trump kept insisting that, like, no, it's on his knuckles. And, like, Morin tried to fact check it a couple times, and then at a certain point he was like, all right, agree to disagree, let's move on. Agree to disagree, let's move on. And then Trump was like, I'm giving you the biggest break ever. I didn't even know who you were. I just picked you because I didn't recognize your name. And he got, like, really aggressive about it. And I think Morin should have probably pushed back a bit and really, like, hammered in the fact that no, Trump was wrong. Like, even if he ends the interview, you don't just hit him with the, like, okay, agree to disagree. It's like, no, there are facts here, and the facts are that was a clearly annotated photo, and the president is confused, to put it nicely.
Did he say anything that made sense in any of these interviews? Has he, in the media rounds, has he had any particular points, or is it just the same old shit, really, at this point?
I mean, I do think there are things that, even if they are uncomfortable and horrendous sounding, make sense from his perspective. I think in a lot of these interviews, he was extremely candid about what his plans were, how he was feeling. Morin asked him at one point when they were early on in the interview, when they were talking about the tariffs, all the economic harm that is taking place in the United States, the, violations of civil and human rights that are taking place through immigration enforcement. Morin asked him, like, what do you say to people who now are thinking, I didn't vote for this? Like, I voted for border security and economic prosperity. I didn't vote for this, what I'm getting now. And Trump just straight up says, well, they did vote for this. Like, this is what you voted for. You're getting what you voted for. And I think that is an incredibly honest response from him, a rare honest response from him, because I don't think any Trump voter can earnestly look at the platform Trump ran on, that Republicans ran on, and say, oh my God, I had no idea this is what was going to happen.
Yeah.
They've been explicitly stating what their plans were for years now. And I think for Trump to just come out and say, well, yeah, you voted for this. I'm not changing. Like, I don't give a shit what the poll numbers say. I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, yeah, it's a rare moment of honesty from a man known for being dishonest.
Got to give it to him, Chris.
Good job, Trump.
Good job, Trump, on being honest.
Oh, dear. No, not good. Not good. Not
right.
good.
Chris, very quickly, and we're going to have to wrap up this section after. I've got one final question for you both after this one. But, Chris, can we talk a little bit about how he's blinged up the Oval Office? Because I think this can seem silly, but it does also show his total
Gaddafi core
disconnect from the world, doesn't it?
Well, he's Trumpified it, hasn't he? He's Trumpified it.
Yeah, nice. That's good.
He's made everything gold, basically. Everything's gold. There's gold mirrors, there's gold eagles. Apparently, there's also a replica gold World Cup trophy in there on his desk as well.
That is so cool.
The World Cup is 2026 across North America, isn't it? So he's
Mexico.
Yeah, so he's he's plugging that, it seems, but there's gold everywhere.
Yeah.
It looks almost palace-like.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it does show kind of a disconnect between just him and reality, really. What do you think of it?
I think it's just obscene. I know I said earlier that I would make my White House crazy, but I was doing it for a joke on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's done it.
Yeah.
And it's just beyond gross. It's so weird. I don't know how it really shows just how he is not a public servant. He is doing all of this in service to himself.
Yeah.
And his ego. And yeah, like I say, so the next question I've got for both of you is, your favorite moment. But on standout moments, I'll return to my point. Is just, he just thinks he's the king. And I did not think that would fly as much as it has, really.
I mean, yes, he did post it about himself, long live the king.
Yeah.
That's another early one from the first 100 days that I think has flown under the radar. But an interesting thing, and I don't know if you guys saw it, I think it was this morning, one of the White House press accounts posted like a little 360 video of the Oval Office with all the redecorations and captioned the video, "The People's House." And that's what the White House has been referred to for a really long time. It's the People's House. It's a term that gets applied to, a lot of different federal buildings like the Capitol. But I think in a time where people are freaking out because, all these tariffs are going into effect. Things are getting more expensive. We're getting some really concerning economic numbers for Q1. The U.S. economy this first quarter of fiscal year 2025 contracted for the first time in years. You're already seeing signs that Trump's economic platform is going to do some damage, if not significant damage, to the U.S. economy, to consumers, to unemployment. There's signs that inflation's going up again. In that time period, to just redecorate one of the symbols of this nation into a vomitous explosion of gold leaf. Something that most people I can't afford gold leaf. Most Americans in this country, that's not something you have access to. To make the representation of the leadership of this country a gaudy, tacky, gold encrusted display of excess, it just speaks to how out of touch this administration is with what they sold their own voters.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing about these 100 days that we really need to drill down on, is that Trump promised that this would be a presidency for the working man. This would be a presidency for the union worker who had lost jobs in Michigan, for the underrepresented peasant who had been struggling with the burden of democratic governance. And in reality, this has been a presidency, at least in this first 100 days, and I expect it will continue to be this way, for the Elon Musks of the country, for the Jeff Bezos, for the Mark Zuckerbergs, who dumped a ton of money into Trump's inauguration fund, who crawled to Mar-a-Lago on bended knee to ask for mercy, and in exchange are about to get massive tax cuts and are basically being allowed to purchase whatever they want from the government.
Yeah.
Well, regular everyday people are trying to figure out how they're going to deal with massive tax increases because of these tariffs. Anyway, I'm done. Rant over.
Lots of horrible, depressing news, but let's find some light in the darkness. What's been your favorite moment of the 100 days? Chris, I'm going to ask you first.
Favorite moment of just Trump?
No, well, I mean, if you want to spread out into I don't care.
I mean, got engaged.
Well, yeah,
is that what you're asking me? Yeah.
But no, let's go for moments that everyone can share in then. Like political moments. What's happened?
In America?
World moments.
Moments.
It could happen in not America, but yeah, we are an American politics podcast, so
are
adjacent,
we?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, Jarv. I can't think of any favourite moments.
Really?
Well, it's been so hectic. As you've said, this is an American politics podcast, and everything has been so fast and just shit. it's hard enough keeping up with that.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a favourite.
Well, I want some positivity from you. So
No, I'm sorry.
Nikki going to take over. We're going to have to come back to you and get you some positivity. Me, I would say I've really liked watching Zuckerberg try and become a bro. I have began to find that really funny. Like, he was on Theo Von's podcast, and he is just writhing, trying to be a human being. And I think, if you can make that dude feel uncomfortable, and that works for me. Things have been pretty bad for Elon Musk, and that's been a highlight, I would say. So favourite moment is the sort of the beginning of things looking quite bad for Elon Musk. Funny moments, I guess, putting tariffs on an island where only penguins lived there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was one of the most ridiculous moments.
That was a fun moment.
But the favourite thing has been seeing these oligarchs have to try and embarrass themselves in such a consistent and pathetic way. And there's a little bit of me that thinks, well, this is obviously really bad, but sometimes the clips come up on my social media and I go, fuck that guy. And that's quite good. Nikki, what's your favourite moment?
Oh, God. It's kind of hard.
Come on, guys, some positivity.
No, it's okay. No, look, I'm
birthday.
not going to lie. I felt amazing when the Tesla earnings report came out for Q1.
Yep.
Where it's like the 71% drop in revenue. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. You deserve that.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of other ones.
I've got one.
Okay, Chris, go for it and I'll continue thinking.
The creation of our Patreon chat.
Yeah,
but no, seriously though, yep. I think, we're probably going to mention it later, but we've been going a year, and I'd like to say that the community of people that we've built and the conversations that we've been able to have with each other have been able to shed a light on what has been a particularly kind of dark moment, especially over the past 100 years. And to have that...
100 years?
Did I say years?
Yeah.
That's how long it's felt.
Slip,
but you know what I mean, 100 days. But to have to have a place where you can go where there are sane people who can talk about things, not necessarily agree on everything, but talk about things.
The vibes are really good in the chat.
Yeah. But also, on Blue Sky as well, having somewhere to go and be able to talk to people and see views that, perhaps don't mirror yours, but you can understand why they've made them rather than what's come from this administration. I'd say from the absolute shit show that has been the Trump administration, there at least has been people around that you can talk to about it, and I think that's a positive.
The friends we made along the way.
Absolutely.
I remembered one.
Nice.
Cool. Go on, Nikki.
The Colorado portrait.
Oh yeah, that was
him like
good.
Losing his fucking mind because he didn't like how he looked in the portrait was so funny to me. I will also throw on the really like desperate attempts to make to improve Tesla's stock price, the everything's computer.
Yeah. That was good, everything's computer. On that with Trump, another one that's come to my mind involving Trump directly was when he was doing colouring in at the Easter event, but then you click on the picture and zoom in and he's been signing kids.
Yeah.
Terribly coloured in, sorry to the children, but I don't know.
They're children. They'll
get over
also,
it.
shut up about egg prices.
The eggs, man. The eggs.
Yeah.
They've been expensive. Right.
Can I add one in there? It's
of course, Simon.
Of course.
Kind of similar to what you're talking about, but Elon Musk, this was quite mean, but him getting trolled when he was on the online gaming thing. You see that?
Yeah.
He's just on his private plane and people are just laying into him. And he just looks
He's a liar.
so sad. so sad. And I mean, it's not nice, but I feel if there's anyone who you can revel in, you can experience a bit of schadenfreude with, it's him.
Simon, I say it every week. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Now we're going to look at some other things that you might have missed, but mainly listener questions this week because we feel like we just want to answer as many of your questions as we can. Nikki, one big thing I want to ask you about, because we need to look at the Democrats, because their response to Trump has been breathtakingly coordinated.
Yes.
Very good.
So
the
good.
Opposition is strong.
Oh, they're just, don't do anything. That'll work. Anyway, Kamala Harris came out. She did a thing. She did a speech, and she was getting pretty punchy against Trump within it. And she's not really mentioned Trump whatsoever since losing up until this point. Thoughts on it? Good speech, bad speech, pointless speech, pointful speech? I don't know.
I will be quick.
Yeah.
I think as we have pointed out before, there is a leadership void right now within the Democratic Party. No one knows what the fuck to do. They're super unpopular. No one's really taking the mantle of messaging and making it happen, except perhaps Bernie Sanders and AOC. And you can already see the party being like, I don't know if that's the message we want to be giving. No. So I think that Kamala Harris thinks that her career isn't over.
Oof. Oh, no.
This was a testing of the waters to see how the public would react to seeing her. I think this was a testing of the waters to see, can another run for office happen, even if it's not the presidency? People forget she was a senator before she was the vice president. I don't know. I am a believer that if it didn't work before, it's probably not going to work the second time around, and we should let other people give it a try.
I would say yes, sure, but also look at how much we're mentioning Bernie Sanders at the moment. Everyone thought his career was over, a decade ago or so.
Oh, but Bernie isn't running for president.
No, sure, but
Yeah.
but you also have to recognize that a lot of people are saying that maybe he should, because he's the only voice. Him and AOC are like the only voice that we're hearing at the moment. That's what really worries me, is that there seems to be no looking forward. It's all looking back.
It is all looking back. I'd say what I see the difference between Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris, though, is that Bernie Sanders, I'm not going to get all super left-wing conspiracy theorist on you here, but he did not have the backing of the Democratic Party.
No, that's not a conspiracy.
In any way,
it's true.
shape, or form.
Jarv, the Democratic took steps to tank his candidacy.
Exactly, man. I know. I've just got to, in case anyone's like, I'm not some mad Bernie bro guy here. It's like he didn't get any help and was pushed against, and now he's come back like a sort of left-wing phoenix once again, which you're right, it's looking back. But with Kamala Harris, where I just see more so that I'm like, I don't want you to even be that as relevant in the conversation, is you had every single assist here and you fucked it.
No, I disagree with that, because we've said on this podcast before that Biden should have left way before. Way before he did. And therefore Kamala Harris didn't have... I'm by no means a Harris fan. I think she could have done way better and should have done. But I don't think she was assisted very well by the fact that Biden gave her less than half of the amount of time to actually run a decent campaign. I don't think that she's the future of the Democratic Party. I really don't. I agree with you there. But what I'm trying to say with the Bernie Sanders point is that she is still, in terms of to Biden and Trump and Sanders, relatively young. There's still a long time for her to go in her career. Whereas, how old's Bernie Sanders? 87?
I don't know.
88? Something like that. And we're still mentioning his name, saying how good he is and how good he is at pushing back against Trump. It's just like, yeah, sure, but he's 88.
Yeah.
He's 83.
Christ. Yeah, sure, but he's 83.
Look, that man's convictions are unkillable, and that's why he's been around as long as he has. He's been basically saying the same thing for like the last 6 decades.
Yeah. And let's just get him in the mittens and get him in the White House.
Get him on the pod.
That's what I'm saying. Bernie, come on the podcast. He does listen.
I would love.
Let's go on to listener questions here. So this one is from Edith Haas. Boring question here. Don't say that,
no,
Edith.
I'm never a boring question.
But I would like to know more about the class aspects of politics in America. I most often hear politicians and candidates talking about middle-class voters in a way we do not hear in the UK. Are US and UK middle classes similar in jobs, education, income, and voting patterns? Why is there such a focus on the middle class in the US elections? What does the phrase decline of the middle class in relation to this election mean? Nikki, what's the middle class in America all about? What's it like?
Well, the thing is, there tends to be a conflation between the middle class and the working class. I think you can see it most clearly in the way Republicans talk about voters, where Republicans have made the middle class, quote unquote, refer more to college educated, laptop job, 6-figure salary. That's what they mean when they say the middle class is shrinking in the United States, is because the jobs that used to be able to afford you, like the white picket fence and the house and the wife and the 2 kids, those jobs are now corresponding more to sort of college educated, elite, like coastal, blah, blah, blah. The people who are making higher salaries, working in jobs that are more technical, require higher education degrees, versus the working class, which are people who are working factory jobs, union jobs, the sort of jobs that 40, 50 years ago could afford you a middle class lifestyle. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't lived in the UK. I think that's a question that's better answered by you guys. But class politics in the United States are absolutely a driving political force. And I think that's one of the things that, if we were talking about Bernie Sanders just now, Bernie Sanders' message has been incredibly consistent. It is this idea that the rich in the United States are getting richer. Every year they hold an increasing amount of power over the political forces that shape the lives of everyday people in this country. No one exemplifies it better in this day and age than Elon Musk, who basically bought himself a presidency, bought himself a position in government, and is now using that position to enrich himself in front of all of our faces. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. And I think I may have spoken about it before on this podcast, but one of the major failings of the Democratic Party in sort of the last 2 decades was, rightfully, I think they were correct in trying to address the racial and social disparities that still exist in this country. The racism, the homophobia, the sexism. Those were all things that are problems in the United States and needed addressing. The thing the Democratic Party rejected, and it is part of the reason they rejected a candidate like Bernie Sanders in 2016, is because they were very afraid that the class consciousness, the class politics that needed to be addressed, that intersect with all of those issues of race, sex, gender, those 2 things are intermeshed. And the Democrats did a really good job about talking about sort of the social justice portion of it without addressing the class and economic side. Because every time they tried to address that class and economic side, they got accused by Republicans of being socialist Marxists who wanted to turn the country into a communist hellscape. And they balked at those accusations. They were afraid of that messaging. And I think that, to put it as briefly as I can, that sort of schism within the Democratic Party where they were like, okay, we're going to talk about like all the social justice side, but we're going to tiptoe around the class economic side. That, I think, left a giant gap into which Trump inserted himself and provided a populist economic message that was very appealing to blue-collar, working-class families who felt that they had been abandoned by a politics that favored the rich by both parties, because Republicans have been no friends of the poor. That left that opening for Trump to take advantage of that messaging, and the Democrats never were able to wrestle it back. They haven't really been able to in the last 3 election cycles. Even though Biden won in 2020, Biden's messaging wasn't economic. It was anti-Trump.
Biden.
Anyway, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that gets into a bit of the middle class. The middle classes in Britain, Chris, I don't know how to get into there. We're working class boys, aren't we, from the north?
Well,
the north.
People would argue I'm not.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I'm from Leicester, Midlands, isn't it?
Oh,
but
right. Oh, okay.
People here would say I'm northern.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, mate. I'm going to say so too.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
Right.
This question is from...
I'll allow it.
This question is from As Richards. They've said boring question too. It's not, don't worry. What are the members of Congress and the Senate doing on a day-to-day basis? How do they fill their time other than avoiding meeting their constituents at town halls? Nikki, what are they bloody up to?
I mean, it kind of really depends. As someone who has gone to meet with members of Congress in their offices, it's typically a mix of things. While members of Congress typically go back to their districts, their states, and go to town halls, a lot of what their office actually does is field meetings with constituents. Like you, as a constituent or as an organization, can request a meeting with a congressman, and you can either meet with them or their staff. It kind of depends on like what sort of priority they want to give you. Members of Congress will meet with caucuses they're members of. They'll go to committee meetings. They'll do hearings. They'll actually go to the floor to vote for things. They will attend strategy meetings with other members of their parties. A lot of times those are held over like lunches and that kind of thing. It's a schedule that varies. It kind of depends on, what votes you have that day. Do you have caucus meetings? Do you have legislative meetings? Do you have press conferences? What voters have requested to meet with your office that day? Of course, they also meet with lobbyists and special interest groups and attend fundraisers and give talks at fancy dinners that rich people have access to, but normal people usually don't. It's a lot of things. I think that might be a fun interview for us to do with a member of Congress the next time we have one on, is just like, what's your day-to-day life like at the Capitol? But it's a really curious life because you have really well-established members of Congress like Nancy Pelosi, who is like pretty wealthy and can afford to probably, I think she has like an apartment or a house here in DC and then her house in like San Francisco. But then you have other freshman members of Congress or like lesser known members of Congress who are operating kind of off their congressional salary and whatever they can use from their campaign and live in like a rented house with other roommates, like basically a crash pad. Because they can't afford an actual apartment or a place to stay in DC. They kind of just share rooms with other members of Congress or other people. It's a really curious setup here in DC, but it kind of just depends on the congressman and what is going on in DC that day.
Well, let's try and get a congressperson on to the podcast and ask if they'll send us some fancy dinner.
Fancy dinner?
Chat. Just a fancy dinner for rich people. Get it in here.
Nice.
This is a silly question, finally, again from Edith Haas. If Trump was a drink, he'd either be Tango, because orange, or Fanta, invented by fascists. I don't know the historical
I'm allergic
origin
to Fanta.
You're allergic to what?
I'm
Wow.
allergic to the food coloring, like the orange
okay.
food coloring.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I puke. I bleh.
Oh, that's
Well, actually, just before you finish the question,
yeah.
Fanta's a different colour in the US than to the UK.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
It's more orange.
It's
America.
way more
No, in
orange.
the-
More orange,
Yeah, in the US, it's orange.
It's really strange. Sorry, continue with your question.
Edith said that they think that Starmer would be a cup of Earl Grey tea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What
I love
drink
Earl Grey.
best represents you and why? Chris, you are Bovril, but tell us your answer still.
Bovril.
Bovril, yeah, good.
It's either Bovril. Nikki, do you know what Bovril is?
No.
It's basically it's a hot meat tea.
Yeah.
It's like a beef tea. You have it.
Like bone broth?
So Bovril, it comes in a jar. It's kind of like, do you know what Marmite is?
Yeah, I know Marmite.
So imagine Marmite but beef.
Yeah.
That's Bovril.
It's
Okay, I do like a sipping broth.
yeah, then you mix that with hot
I
water.
think calling this a broth is being polite. It's very much like a I guess a
Like
working
bouillon
man's.
and water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
It's
I've
like
had that. It's good.
It's like you have it when you're at the football when it's a bit dark.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
footy.
You have a pie with it. Yeah, the footer.
Yeah.
Have a pie and Bovril. Get in my face. Bovril or an apple tango. I've always felt a close connection
Nice.
with it.
Prefer it to appetizer.
Damn it, I'd forgotten about appetizer. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to go actually completely different. J2O orange and passion fruit.
Oh, you can't stop drinking them. Nikki, what drink would you be?
Probably like. So my standard drink order, which I think does describe me quite well, is a tequila with soda water, a shit ton of lime juice, and then if I can add something spicy to it, I will.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, I didn't realise we could say alcohol.
You can say alcohol if you
Oh,
like.
pint of tiger then.
Okay, fair. Pint of tiger.
But like a day-to-day drink,
Yeah, be a day. Have your day-to-day as well. Your day rider.
my day rider, probably like a kombucha or like 2 liters of water with a shit ton of ice.
Nice.
What about you,
Very
Jarv?
good. What would I be? What would I
Oh, don't
be?
pretend you've not thought about this.
I genuinely haven't thought about it. if we're just going favourite drinks,
you'd be an ice monster.
I wouldn't be a monster. I don't drink caffeine.
Yeah, but you look like you should.
Chris, today, that's rich.
Right,
You're so mosher today.
I'm in the sick Amfric merch.
He's sick, but Simon's
got something to say here.
Simon,
Jarv.
what drink would you be?
No, it's you. You're Huel.
I'm
You're
sure.
so
100%. Yeah, you are Huel. You'll get ripped to shreds at the minute.
I like that. Huel, I think that's quite complimentary.
Monster Huel.
I'm
That's what you are.
Huel. Okay.
Ew.
Monster Huel. I might drink some of that when I go home. Listeners, tell me what drink you think I am and be much more complimentary
what about Simon?
than them. Simon, what drink are you? I think Simon's like a martini.
Oh, martini.
Because it's got a bold olive on the top.
That's so rude.
I'm bold as well, I can say it.
It's all right. He can say it. It's fine.
You can't know, Jarv.
I'm not as refined as that. I would say my sort of go-to drink would be a rum and coke.
Okay.
Which
nice.
I think is not bad for me because, it's refreshing, quite relaxing.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Well, if we're going go-to drinks, mine's just a Coke Zero. There is the best. I would drink 10 of them a day if I could.
I love a Diet Coke.
Exactly. It's so good. Well, with that brings us Coke Zero. If you want to sponsor the podcast, did you just hear that? Come on. Well, we'll take it. We'll take their money.
Fine.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of American Friction. Nikki, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And thank you.
Happy birthday. Aww.
Chris, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to me, and happy birthday to you, Jarv.
Thank you. And Simon, happy
birthday.
Oh, happy birthday,
guys.
Simon. And listeners, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Because it's our birthday and it's your birthday.
Yours.
Because our podcast is your podcast. But it's mainly our podcast and we need you to support it. At which point it will become more your podcast. So if you want to take out some shares in the American Friction podcast, back us on Patreon. You won't actually get any shares.
No, that's not quite right.
But kind of, whatever. Don't worry about it. But go to patreon.com/American Friction directly to sign up. There's a link in the show notes. We want to keep going. We want to live for many more birthdays to come.
Please.
But we need your help for that. So patreon.com/American Friction. And if you can't do that, we get it. We might die because of you not being able to do it.
We
but
might literally die.
But if you could go rate and review, subscribe, wherever you're listening to the podcast, and tell your friends about us as well.
Yep.
Just go down, hit the share button right now, post about it, say happy birthday to us, tell people to listen.
Listeners, we are so close to 1 million downloads.
We are.
Get us there.
Yeah, we're 1 year old, 1 million downloads. Just get us there. So, I'm Jacob Jarvis. After all that, thank you for listening to American Friction.
Happy birthday.